Today is going to sound a little funky. The audio is going to suck on this footage just because the GoPro frame that I normally use, where I can plug in all my accessories for microphones and stuff, is broken. It just so happened I used it this weekend, it all worked fine, or last weekend, and then this weekend it doesn't work. So we've got to do some race prep today, get the valves lashed on Loud and Ugly, because we're going down to Milan Dragway for the Nostalgia Nationals next weekend to be racing for 3 days. We're going to pop these valve covers off real quick, and then I can explain a little bit more in depth of how we check these valves. With the solid roller cam, I'm required to have 18 thousandths clearance on these valves when we check the lash. What we're going to do is bar the motor over just by the flywheel with a flywheel tool. So I'll pop the spark plugs out just so it makes it easier to turn over, because I do not have a little jog button yet, which is something that I'd like to upgrade and be able to do in the future, but money's tight right now, so we just make it work with the mechanical tools and the power of our hands. So here we go. When checking the lash on your valves, you're always going to want to check them when the motor is room temperature. These are all tricks and tips I learned from Dean Gellner, who actually built my motor. He's got years and years of experience with this stuff, and he just explained to me the easiest way to do this. So shed some light on you guys. We're just checking it at room temperature. Motor is just hasn't been ran, nothing today. Pop the valve covers off. The way we're going to do it is we're going to bar this motor over, check the intake valve when the exhaust valve just starts to open, and then we'll check the exhaust valve when the intake valve is almost closed. So I had to write that down because every single time I do this, even though we've done it 4 or 5 times already, I always forget the way it goes. Eventually I'll learn, but I wrote it down just because I wanted to tell you guys about it. And we're doing intake and exhaust valve to 18 thousandths, so we just got a feeler gauge here, and I'll show you guys how these slide in. You just want, a little bit of resistance, but it should snap in and snap out, but not be too tight to press in. So it's really just something that you have to mess around with and get used to doing. Alright, we started with cylinder 1 intake valve to start checking. This one checked out within spec, everything was good. We went to cylinder 3 next for the intake side. That one was good as well, that's why I didn't video those. We get to cylinder 5 here on the driver's side of the motor, and it is a little bit looser. The feeler gauge slides in a lot easier without a snap on the way in, so I'll show you how we're gonna adjust that there. You got a 5/8 wrench and what is this, a 7/32 Allen wrench here. We're gonna get those on there, get that feeler gauge put back in. Lucky for me, I don't have inner fenders to bounce around here, so we're gonna break them loose a little bit. Alright, with these little poly locks, the wrench is what's going to actually tighten this up, and then the Allen wrench here is just going to lock it in. So you get it nice and close here. You kind of just have to get a feel for it, doing it multiple times, then you lock them together. Take your feeler gauge, still not tight enough, so you gotta sit here and manipulate it a bunch until you get it just right where you like it. And that's what we're looking for right there. A little bit of resistance in, and that snaps out, and that valve is lashed. We finished up the intake valves all the way around on the driver's side and passenger side. So we're swapping back over, and we're going to do the exhaust side of the valve system now. So we've got it to where the intake is almost closed, and that opens up your exhaust. So you can see it's nice and loose there. So we got the feeler gauge, and it slides in a lot easier than the other one, so we're going to go ahead and tighten this one up too. The valve lash is finished up now. Like I said, everything is set back to 18 thousandths intake and exhaust, and that was set with the room temp motor. Now what I'm going to do is back the truck out, let it get up to temp, let it cool back down a little. As it's cooling down, I'm going to be draining the oil out of it. It is a straight 50 weight oil, so it's really thick. When you do an oil change, most of the time you are changing the oil when it's warm so that it all runs out easily. So we're going to do that now, get it up on the hoist, drain this oil out, get a new filter and oil in it, and we'll see what the night brings. And who knows, maybe we'll do the battery install with some jumper cable studs on the back of the truck as well. This is what everybody probably wants to see and hear on the YouTube. This is my truck starting up. So I get the wheel on there. I got this sweet little switch panel that I set up. That's the trans brake button over here. I put this thing back into, it's kind of hard to do while holding the camera. Put her back into park here. And turn my ignition on. We've got the MSD stuff that's under the dash here. Still got to clean up that wiring. Fuel pump, give her a couple zaps. just wrapped up the oil change on Loud and Ugly. While I was under there, I had to take the diaper off of the oil pan, move it over to the side. When it was out of the way, I also took the starter off that I bought for $5 at Dragway 42 because the one that actually broke there, I had a warranty for at O'Reilly's, so I swapped those out. So I've got the brand new one on there because that $5 one was kind of making some weird sounds and not always engaging to the flywheel. So just trying to minimize any issues we'll have starting up at the line. That way we're always guaranteed to pass. That's all buttoned up now, so I've got the new starter on there, new fresh oil and filter in it. We got the valves lashed. There's a couple other things I wanted to do in this episode, but I ended up going to a family party today in between shooting this video, so didn't get to get everything done, but it was good to see the family. We shot some guns and had a good time. So on the next episode, I'll show you the battery that I bought for Loud and Ugly. It's a nice $400 battery. That's going to hopefully take care of the startup issues, and it's a deep cycle versus the battery that I had was not a deep cycle battery. This one's got 1,150 cranking amps, and the battery I have in my truck now only has 850 cold cranking amps. So it should wake it up. The new starter and everything, hopefully we won't have any startup problems, and we'll be ready to rock and race at the Nostalgia Nationals at Milan Dragway in just a couple weeks. And a little side note, I don't like to push the merchandise, but I did make a bunch of shirts for everybody because they had a lot of comments saying people wanted shirts. So up on my website, I'll try to remember to put the link down below. If not, it's just www.loudanduglygarage.com. So super easy to remember. Just go there, order a shirt, get some stickers, and then wear your shirt to the drag strip when you come out to support on September 16th at Milan Dragway for that Nostalgia Nationals. And let's get a picture together, whatever. You can sit in the truck, you can talk to the whole family and hang out with us. So make sure to order a shirt and wear it to the race, and we'll see you there.